Okay, let's talk about the one system in your house that can be your absolute best friend or your most expensive nightmare. We're diving deep into the hidden world of your home's plumbing, and this is your survival guide.
So let me just ask you this straight up. What's the most underestimated system in your entire home? I guarantee it's not your fancy smart home tech or that new roof you just put on. Nope. It's something way more fundamental, and we all tend to ignore it until it's way, way too late. And there it is. It's the one you never see. Your plumbing. You gotta think of it like your home's circulatory system. When it's working right, you don't even know it's there. But when it fails, it can be an absolute catastrophe. So the big takeaway here is out of sight should not mean out of mind.
So here is our game plan. First, we're going to uncover the hidden threats lurking inside your walls. Then, we'll look at a real-world case study to see them in action. After that, we'll learn how to listen to your pipes for warning signs, build up our lines of defense, and finally, figure out what really makes a plumber a pro.
Every single day, there are these invisible forces just waging a quiet war against your home's plumbing. And look, this isn't about one unlucky house. This is a battle every single homeowner is fighting. To really get a grip on this, we're going to zoom in on one town that faces this stuff head-on.
All right, let's get real with a case study from Woodbury, Minnesota. Now you might be thinking, what does Minnesota have to do with me? Well, the town might be specific, but the enemies? Climate, water quality, geology? Those guys are universal. Your home is fighting some version of this battle right now, I promise.
And this right here breaks down the three big culprits perfectly. First up, you've got those wild temperature swings, that constant freeze-thaw, which just stresses pipes until they literally burst. Second, hard water. All those minerals create gunk and buildup that slowly chokes the life out of your appliances. And finally, the ground itself. Clay soil shifts around, putting a ton of pressure on all those pipes buried underground.
And don't for a second think this is just a winter thing. Oh no. In the cold, ice can expand and just split a pipe wide open. But then in the summer, that same clay soil can dry out and shift, putting your sewer and water lines in a chokehold until they break. It is a relentless, year-round fight.
Okay, enough with the doom and gloom, right? We're now shifting from the problems to what you can actually do about it. It's time to learn the secret language of your pipes so you can catch those early warning signs before a tiny drip turns into an indoor swimming pool. Your house is giving you clues all the time. You know that sudden drop in water pressure? That could be a frozen pipe you can't even see. Those weird banging or popping sounds from the basement? That's your water heater screaming for help. A sump pump that's dead silent, or one that never shuts off, is a huge red flag for a future flood. And that slow drain? It's not just an annoyance. It could mean tree roots are literally strangling your sewer line. These are the cries for help you just can't afford to ignore.
Okay, so you know how to spot the signs. Now what? Well, you need a playbook. So let's talk about the three-part strategy to defend your home: prevention, smart upgrades, and a rock-solid emergency plan.
Think about it this way. Your first line of defense is just simple preventative maintenance. Flushing the water heater, getting the drains planed. Step 2 is all about smart upgrades, like replacing that 12-year-old water heater before it decides to die in a blaze of glory. And step 3 is your emergency plan, knowing exactly who to call when a pipe bursts at 2 in the morning.
You want a perfect example of why hiring a real pro matters? It's this little thing called the 13-degree rule. See, an amateur might just slap a sharp 90-degree turn in a drain pipe, which is basically an invitation for a clog. But a pro? They'll use two 45-degree fittings instead. It creates this gentler slope that lets everything flow smoothly. It's a tiny detail that saves you from a massive, massive headache down the line.
But, of course, professional help isn't free. In an area like Woodbury, you're probably looking at somewhere between $100 and $200 an hour for a licensed plumber. And yeah, those emergency calls are going to cost you more. It's an investment, for sure, but let's look at the alternative.
This chart really says it all, doesn't it? The cost of a small scheduled fix is, well, it's tiny. It's nothing compared to a big emergency repair. But both of those are just dwarfed by the absolutely insane cost of water damage restoration. The takeaway is crystal clear. Being proactive doesn't just save you headaches, it saves you serious, serious cash. And getting that help really shouldn't be a stressful process. It should be simple. You call, they send someone out, a real pro shows up, figures out the actual root of the problem, and gives you clear, upfront pricing that you approve before they touch anything. Then, and only then, is the work done, tested, and guaranteed. The key here? No surprises. So this is the million-dollar question, right?
How do you find somebody you can actually trust with the keys to your home's circulatory system? Let's break down what separates a true professional from, well, a really risky gamble.
Let's just be blunt. How do you avoid getting ripped off? It's the question every single homeowner has asked themselves. And the answer, thankfully, is knowing what to look for.
Okay, this is your vetting checklist. Seriously. First, they have to be licensed and insured. That is non-negotiable, it protects you. Second, they give you upfront pricing, not some vague guess. They explain the problem in plain English, they guarantee their work, and they make sure everything is up to code. If even one of these is missing, that's a giant red flag.
But look, beyond any checklist, this might be the most important piece of advice there is. Trust your gut. If a price seems way too good to be true, it is. If the explanations are fuzzy and they're pressuring you, just walk away. The right pro is going to build your confidence, not add to your stress.
And that all brings us to the final question, the one you really need to be asking yourself right now. Is your home's plumbing really ready for whatever the next season is going to throw at it? Because trust me, the best time to figure that out is now, before your house decides to ask the question for you.